Spartan Nation, what's going on? Ken, the super cool Spartan, my brother Brian, the super duper mad Spartan. Q the Woodshed, back at you. Once again, another L in the category of losses for the Michigan State Spartans. Like I said, another loss. We're now 0-6 in Big Ten play. Took that big L in Minneapolis, 23-20 in overtime. Rode the boat, Mr. PJ Fleck. He rode us once again. I think this is his third victory in a row against Michigan State, going back
Yeah,
to
him
the
him
Mel
and the
Tucker
refs helped out.
days. Yeah. Yeah. The football gods are not with Michigan State this year.
No.
I mean, no way at all. From the refs with questionable calls the past couple of weeks to just blown opportunities to penalties to whatever else you want to add to it. Football gods are just not liking MSU this year at all. So, what can you say? It was a valiant effort by the Spartans. They actually looked more good, I guess, than bad.
Better
But
than usual.
they didn't look good enough to win. So
They didn't play good enough to win.
right, they didn't play good enough to win. So maybe after the game, they went by the Mall of America, like I said in our last podcast, our Big Ten podcast, which you can still catch on our streaming networks here, YouTube, Spotify, Amazon Music. So maybe they went there after the game to pick up their spirits.
Yeah, right. On that plane
Yeah.
ride home, real lonely.
Yeah. Yeah, broski, let's get right into it. So, where should we begin? Well, I'll say this. I was watching Spartan Mag's podcast earlier today, and they were talking about some of the usual things that you probably have read about right now, about how the backup QB provided a spark on offense and the refs met their questionable calls, blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But we still lost. So,
Hell.
so I want to kick off this conversation by asking you, Spooper Mad Spartan, why couldn't MSU win? What prevented them from getting their first victory in Big Ten play? Why couldn't MSU win?
This might sound harsh, but it's the truth. Loser teams find ways to lose games, and they found a way to lose this game. And it's not, the fight was there. There were some questionable coaching decisions yet again. The referees contributed to, especially in the overtime, some questionable calls. But Michigan State, if questionable calls aside, if you don't miss a chip shot field goal, you probably win this game. You don't drop a touchdown pass, you win this game. They haven't won within their margins.
Mm-hmm.
And I keep on contending that, you know, some people bag on the talent at Michigan State and say, oh, it's not up to par. I would agree it's not up to par with the upper echelon, but for a middle of the pack, we will. That's another conversation. Michigan State is no longer middle of the pack Big Ten football school. We're squarely at the losers column in the bottom.
The
We planted our
doldrums of
flag
the
there.
Big Ten.
We planted our
Yes, we
flag there.
have.
So, but talent wise, I don't think that UCLA, Minnesota, even Nebraska is supremely more talented than Michigan State. We lost those games because our teams is not good enough, and they don't. It's not talent wise. It's coaches. They make every phase of the game makes a mistake that cost Michigan State in this victory. All right. So all right, we talk about the new quarterback coming in. It's not like he had a great game. I'm not going to crap on the quarterback. Let's see, Blagojevich played great, but at the end, in regulation, it was the score 20 points, and he threw for 300 yards. There's 6 sacks in the first half. That doesn't
At the
help.
end of the
Now they
game,
cleaned it
it
up.
was 17-17. That's what the game
Yeah,
ended
so
on in
so
regulation.
offense was doing good. Is 17 points. Okay, that's not good enough. The defense played pretty well most of the game. You need to stop this team from scoring a touchdown to prevent overtime. Can't do it.
Yeah.
Special teams. All right, punting was good. That's the best thing Michigan State does is punt the ball. But then your field kicker misses 2 field goals. One, okay, it's like 40 something yards. Okay, he missed it. He missed the chip shot field goal 20 something yards. Okay, no, it's not good enough. And we
Wow, you
say
sound just
about
like
talent,
Jonathan Smith.
talent.
Not good enough. Not good enough. Not good enough.
It's not. I
Oh,
mean, it gets you
let
to
me
say,
start
but
out
he,
my let me start out my press conference by saying, not good enough. We're just not
yeah,
good enough.
yeah, he does sound like a robot. He probably could ingratiate himself a little bit more Spartan Nation if he would have. He could say something different besides not good enough, like, "Hey, we were right there," blah blah blah. And he could even said there is some questionable calls. He should have. I would have liked to see my coach get fined in this moment because if we're going to talk about overtime and bad calls, when they picked up the pass interference somehow, he just picked it up. Oh no, this flag don't count no more. After he ready to respot the ball, he should have been livid. They kept showing PJ Fleck going off with the. To me, I know they said by law it might not be clear pathways. When you have someone's jersey and extends out 7 feet behind them as they're trying to run, that's a pass. That's pass interference. And then even for the last touchdown, a man's clearly stepped out of bounds before he crossed the plane. But the rest were like, "Yeah, it's Minnesota. Let's just get out of here," and called it a touchdown. And while those calls were egregious, I'm not going to say that cost Michigan State the game. Michigan State did plenty enough to cost themselves this game. The calls are horrific, but they costed themselves. Well, why Michigan State couldn't win? Because we're a bad football team. We have a Michigan State University administration who I who is looking more clear. They do not want to be a big boy in football. They don't want to just want to be just want to show up. Just want to have a football team. They're not trying to actively win.
hmm
So that's why Michigan State couldn't win because our coach staff's not good enough. The execution's not good enough. The athletic administration in football administration is not good enough. All those factors why Michigan State couldn't win. And while they will be continually in the bottom of basically the Big Ten.
Well, I will say in regards to the administration, because it did come out last week that Jay Batt, and maybe this is something that he's done at his previous stops as AD or assistant AD, or all the fundraising he did at Alabama when Nick Saban was the coach, that he established this business called Spartan Ventures, which is independent of the administration. I guess this will be the vehicle for fundraising for NIL and whatever else. So I guess based off that move, they're trying to right the ship per se. I guess that's what these big time universities do to get the necessary funds to get to the big boy table. So, and Jay Batt, I mean, that was the primary reason why he was brought here to get MSU to the big boy table. So I do think with the new president who hired Jay Batt recognizes that. But I mean, I agree with you in the here and now that, yeah, from the administration standpoint, that in the words of Jonathan Smith, They're just not good enough. They're either
No, and they haven't
trying
been.
to right that ship. It seems like they are, but
Maybe
it's just
the
it's just
Spartan Ventures
terrible.
is it's a rebranding of something that was already there.
Hmm.
So it's I'm not saying it's nothing because I don't know yet, but I keep looking around the country and this game was I just knew it was going to go bad for Michigan State. I look at it was a 3:30 game, so I got to watch some real football, and Michigan State's not even comparable to some of these teams. Like, they just don't run a good operation at all.
Hmm.
And then you
Oh yeah,
keep
you. I
you
mean,
know you
you can
never
tell.
and the transparency is so bad. We don't know what's going. We've been told so many different stories about NIL, good, bad, otherwise. You don't know what's the truth. But I can tell you it doesn't look like we're doing anything well enough.
Oh yeah, that's clearly evident. I mean, this is the season where I think the football program really just fall flat on its ass because I told you that MSU is going to go winless in the Big Ten.
It does not one
We'll
surprise me.
see. We'll see if that happens, but I believe MSU will go winless in the Big Ten. And maybe this is what Michigan State needs to do. I mean, I'm not trying to be a hater of of our own alma mater, but sometimes you need to go through just a bunch of ass whoopings till you finally realize, like, okay, I don't want to be my ass whooped anymore. What do we need to do to get up off the mat to be a part of the new landscape of college football? What do we have to do to get to the level of a an Ohio State, a Penn State, that team down the road, Alabama, Oregon? I
But
mean, what
we're
do we
light
need to
years
do to
away
do
from
that?
that. Like, we're not
Oh yeah,
close.
we
Like,
are. We just need to get
and
to
it's
a bowl game at this point.
and that's
We
and
just
that's
need to
the
get to
frustrating
six and
thing, right?
six. All we
Low
all we're asking for
expectations.
is this 6 and 6. That's
That's
it.
such a low expectation, and it's
It's
just it's
horrendously low.
it's the realization starting to become. This is just maybe I'm everybody else knew we were kind of here. I kind of feel like, well, maybe I know we're near the bottom. We're not like top like bottom four worst teams in the Big Ten. Like, no, we are. If you look at the stretch of Michigan State football from just say Mark D'Antonio on, we're one of the worst Big Ten schools. We're squarely at the bottom. It's so
Yeah.
bad. Minnesota message boards like, man, I can't believe we're in this tight game with Michigan State, as if we're just nothing because we are nothing right now in football, and it sucks. It sucks because you know what? The players haven't quit. They're spilling their guts out there to win these games, and it's just not happening.
Right. I didn't even know that Jordan Hall was playing until they mentioned it after the game. Like, wow,
And he's
Jordan
been
Hall
playing
played?
great. He's had a great season. He's out there, another guy, spilling his guts for Michigan State, for the green and white, for naming the front and back of the jersey. And his whole career, Michigan State's been basically fucking losing.
Yeah.
Hasn't made a bowl game. I don't think he was on the 2021 team. So, eh, for the players who's like stuck around, stuck through, like just feel bad for them. And it gets me to the point of, okay, Michigan State, we're becoming a feeder school of talent to bigger schools. I can just imagine people are looking down at us like, they got a couple of bodies we need. Him right there. Take him. You can get him. He could be a death piece for us. We'll take your starter and he'll be in our two deep, maybe. And we can still pay him more than you're going to pay it. Hey, that's where we're at. And it's a sad, sad state, but it's the truth.
It is. It
And
is.
hope Jay Back get it together. I know he just got here, but now he's in a pickle. Because, and to be quite honest, it sucks that we have to even consider firing our coach. Because if we fire the coach, we're just going to be terrible next year, and it starts to cycle over again. And if you're firing a coach every 2 years, who wants to come play for us? I saw a thing on a message board that kind of gave me like, okay, you know what? They're correct. We're the Auburn of the North, a university
Mm.
that
Who just
has
fired their coach, didn't they? Didn't they fire their coach
Hugh
this year?
Freeze. Yes, fired year 3.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
it's not a complete apples to apples comparison, but it's there. You have a big in-state rival that you're in the shadow of. You actually do have some money and cachet to be better, but your administration is just so terrible. You can never get on the same page. It screws everything up. I
Mm-hmm.
think the biggest difference is I think there's more boosters at Auburn that have a better say in things that happen in the football program than Michigan State. But the comparison is there. And I was like, no, we're not Auburn of the yeah, we are Auburn of the North. Except we don't have a national championship. We don't have a Cam Newton. We haven't gotten that. We haven't crossed that threshold before. At least not in modern football times.
No, we haven't. MSU doesn't even have a Heisman Trophy winner. I
No.
think the only I think the only player that I know of who was in contention for the Heisman, I think, was like Bubba Smith back in the '60s.
I mean, uh, Canine got robbed of being invited to the thing,
Oh yeah, he
the
most definitely
Heisman
did.
ceremony, but that's just being
Yeah,
invited. We know it's not the knock on former Michigan State players. You have some great players, but it's just the state of our program. Like right
mm-hmm.
now, you're losing to Minnesota in overtime, and their fan base is like, "Oh my god, I can't believe we had this tight game with Michigan State." Like
Right. It reminds
we
me
damn
of
near the homecoming team. We're the get right
right,
team, the team you need to play to get your shit together.
right,
Here come Michigan
so,
State. We got some shit we can work on real quick because they ain't gonna do nothing to us.
right, right. The
We
coach
back
gonna
to
call some
SOS,
fucked up
same old Spartans.
plays. We can, we can average about 8 sacks because the O line is terrible. Oh, the defense is not going to. They're all over the place once you get outside the D line. So yeah, football
I don't know.
follies.
It's just last 4 years.
Right. The last winning season we had was in 21. And now that'll be 5 years since that.
Yeah. And if Jonathan Smith goes winless in the Big Ten, you have to fire him. Like that's completely unacceptable.
Even if he wins one game, you got to fire him. I mean, to
No,
your
to
point,
me, if you're
there's
not making a
what?
bowl game and it looks like this, you have to go. I don't think there's a way he can come back just from the optic standpoint with Michigan State fans. You can't sell him coming back. Now, if he would have won this game and then 2 of the last 3, and that gets you to a bowl game, so you could justify it. Maybe you say, hey, we're gonna support him with more NIL. We got Jay Bat here. He's gonna put that money in this and that. Jay Bat been mighty silent. He hasn't come out and said anything. It was a vote of confidence for the administration, for the John Smith administration.
No one has.
So no, exactly. He seems like a dead man walking, and a dead man walking means the football program is going to be hurt come this transfer portal season, come off season, come recruiting, and this might even. It's not like the recruiter was just letting the world on fire anyway, so it's not like we're losing so many. No, it's just right. Michigan State's in hell in football right now.
Yeah, that's the great way to put it. I read, I think it was last week, that Smith has been reporting to Jay back like every week, like giving
That's his
updates of what's
boss.
going. Like,
He has to.
I mean, it's like you're on that in the corporate world, you're on that PIP program, performance improvement plan, which is one step away from getting fired.
Yeah, you on letter as you call it. You on letter. You get a verbal, then you get on letter, and if you mess up when you on letter, you fired. 3 strikes and
Yep,
you out.
you're right. So yeah, it's terrible, man. It's terrible. One thing I want to talk about, just to switch gears a little bit, is about the quarterback because I've seen, like, when I watched today in Spartan Mag, their podcast on YouTube. I read, like what Graham Couch said, a few other, MSU sports writers talking about how much of a spark that Alessio had with the offense. And I think he had his moments. I do. But to me, again, he got sacked, what, 7 times in this game?
7 times.
He got
Six
sacked
in the first
seven
half, only
times in this
once the
game.
second half.
Yes. So to me, I really don't see the improvement from Aiden Childs because, again, if Alessio didn't get sacked that much and he had more time to throw the ball, and yeah, I understand that. And I saw, yeah, he stood in the pocket, he took the beating, he made the plays. But to me, the fact that you got sacked 7 times, what was the real difference between him and Aiden Childs? Because Aiden Childs, and again, I know he has his issues. Okay, he has his issues. He gets happy feet at times, yes, but I do believe it's because he is running for his life. As soon as he hikes the ball, the D line is already on his ass, so he has to do something to protect himself, not throw an interception, which he does at times. And yeah, he's had some bad games without question. But to me, I've always said it, I think it's due more to bad offensive line and bad coaching. So I agree that Alessio definitely had his moments in this game, but it was still ending the same result. Him looking up at the sky for getting sacked and a loss. That's just my take. So I don't know. I didn't really see much improvement between having him and the starter and Alessio. I'm sorry, Aiden.
I um I slightly disagree. I thought there was a difference in, you know, processing of the game from Alessio from what we've seen of Aiden Childs. Aiden Childs, it seems sometimes because there'd be people open, he just miss them and he'll just not see them. And that could be a function of him not just seeing it. It could be a function of the offensive line. So I do think there's a difference there. Alessio was able to stay in the pocket, take the hits, and still, go through his progressions. And he was able to complete those short, quick passes that, Childs was missing, just blatantly just missing passes. But there's also some sacks that Childs probably gets out of. And I agree with you on this point. Alessio might have he had a good game statistically wise. He had a good game. Let's just say it there. I'm not going to qualify. He had a good game. I was very impressed with what I saw from the young man. But again, we didn't put a lot of points on the board, and some of that was, you know, weird play calling at certain times in the game. Hey, it's a third down, 3rd and 2. We need to get these 2 yards. Let's run Alessio to the right side, short side of the field.
Right.
And he got fucking clobbered, and then we missed the field
Or
goal.
that fourth down play that they ran,
Yes, and
clobbered.
so
That's a play you run
clobbered,
for
and so
Aiden Childs, not for Alessio.
yes, yes, and that's my point of yeah, Alessio had a better day passing the ball, but the coaching staff still was finding ways to mismanage the game with their play calls. And we can talk about the OC Lundgren called the plays, but Smith better get in his ear like, no, we can't do that because they did the same shit again where it's third down, 3rd and short, 4th and short, and they run a fucking toss to
Toss
the short
sweep.
side of the
Yeah,
field.
baby.
It's like
Toss sweep.
it's
Toss
asking
for a
for a
loss.
tackle for a loss. Yes,
Toss for a
and then
loss.
to your point, I've always said this. I've been a big Aiden Childs defender. I think he still has talent. I'll contend the coach staff hasn't used him to his strengths yet. But to me, the problems on this team are far of the list of problems. Quarterback is not the highest one. Because even if
I
Aiden
agree with
Childs is
that.
missing passes and doing these things, all right, defense is giving up. The defense been a shiv. That's it. They've been a turnstile. Turnstile. I mean, so that you're not winning football games like that. When you had good Aiden Childs and defense was being terrible, you're not gonna win that game. Or you have good defense, decent enough offense. Special teams is getting pump blocks and kicking balls out of bounds and doing other things to lose the game. And the O line has been terrible all year. Like how many negative yard plays do we have? The running game got mashed because we had some big runs here. I think it was like an 85-yard run, another,
Yep.
big passing play
Mm-hmm.
run. But they had tons of tackles. Minnesota had tons of tackles for loss against us. That's the O line. And yeah, Alessio, I thought he was good. He can be the starter the rest of the year. I'm not mad about that. And all the Childs haters got their wish, but I don't think Childs was the biggest problem on this team. Was his play an issue? Yes, it was an issue. As Jonathan Smith would say, it wasn't good enough.
Why? Because the
But
coach wasn't good enough. None of
and
them.
there it is. It comes back to coaching. Are you putting your players in the best position to win the game? No, they have not
No.
been. And I know OCs get a lot of flack for plays that don't work, but we're running the same plays in the same situations that have not worked all season. We have a trick play that looks pretty decent enough, or we're gonna fake direct snap to the running back. He's gonna run for that 1 yard. People don't know where the ball's at. I think that would have been okay. I wouldn't have hated it. But then you call a timeout to blow your own trick play up just to get a fourth down play that don't work. It's just like, what are we doing?
So that's what, and I know I've said this before, Brian, but as a coach, someone who gets paid a lot of money, the definition of insanity, if you keep running the same plays for the entire year that don't work, why do you do that?
I don't know.
That is
I
just
just
asinine to
couldn't
me.
tell you.
You get paid all this money, millions of dollars, and you keep running the same shit that doesn't work all season. Why? As
I
fans,
don't
if we
know.
see it's not working and they know a lot more about football than us, but if we just use our eyes as we do as fans, if we see the shit ain't working, why don't you see it?
Well,
Am I missing something?
speaking of like the offensive line, how many games this year have you just seen an old lineman just look at someone as they run past them to smash the quarterback? It happened like 3 times in this game. One time the center got completely ran over. The second time, he just the the guy runs past him. He's not even looking, just like tapping onto the left side. I'm like, what are you doing? He's right in front of you. You're not going to block the person in front. Like, okay, we're still shuffling on. Well, I know we're shuffling on linemen now because the 3 starters are hurt. Still shuffling on linemen. There's no cohesion. And what game is this? This game 9? Like,
And
I'm
Big
so
Ten
tired
play.
of it.
See, this is where you need Tom Izzo because Izzo, as soon as he sees this player's messing up, so they go to the sideline, boy, you see his eyeballs pop out. He got that. They getting his player's ass. That's what they need in the sideline as a coach. They need Tom
I,
Izzo in that sideline just to getting these players'
I know we
asses.
talk
So
a
when
lot
you see
about.
his O line, you see the O line just looking like, oh, how he get by?
I pretend part of the reason
That's
why
what
Aiden
they
Childs played
need.
so bad, well, he was having a good season up until Nebraska. Then he got punked like 2 or 3 times in a row. and he really hasn't been right since.
Right. He got popped by some big ass line. I mean, them boys on Nebraska's D line, I mean, they look like monsters.
I
They was
mean,
pancaking
everyone looks like
Childs
a
like
monster versus our
crazy.
offensive line,
Right.
and the child has to do a better job of protecting himself. He spins. Sometimes he does a spin move back into the
Yeah.
field. If you spin back into
Yeah.
the field, I mean, so you're spinning back into people coming at you. So it,
Yeah. He does spin himself into getting blasted. He does
yes,
do that.
but
So
I
that
think he does that.
yeah.
One thing I hate to see people like try to, oh, he doesn't care. I'm like, I don't know how you could watch Aiden Childs play football at Michigan State about, oh, he don't care. For someone who don't care, he sure does try to put the team on his back a whole lot and gets popped.
Right.
But really here nor there, I think Alessio played good enough that you're probably not going to see Childs unless Alessio gets popped and hurt by the offensive line, which is a possibility from what we've seen from the offensive line since, you know, Cobra
Yeah,
Sorrent.
shit. Maybe it's good for Charles not to play. It's like hell. I got my ass beat up enough. Let me start looking the transfer portal. Get up out of here.
Listen, I already said Michigan State is becoming a theater school, so don't. It, and this isn't even going to sound worse. How many players do people really want from our team? Like, how many players do you think on Michigan State's offense and defense that another Power Four conference is gonna be like, yeah, I want that guy? How many of our players would start for other Big Ten schools? That's the real question.
I would just say Childs and Marsh. I mean, those are the only guys I can think of on offense.
Okay, I mean, sure, those are your thoughts. uh,
You don't
yeah, but
think either can
definitely
start
Mars.
on another team?
I'd have to see how the offense will use Aiden, and then we haven't seen him be his best self with the pieces around him, so I don't know. I think Marsh could
Mm-hmm.
definitely start for most Big Ten schools, but he has to be more consistent with his ball catching because he's had some drops. He
Yeah.
dropped a touchdown pass this game, uh, but we've seen his height, and I'm pretty sure on defense, maybe Jordan Hall.
Mm-hmm.
Like we have some solid D tackles, but I don't think people are like, oh man, we got to get this guy. Like, and I'm not saying that because these guys suck. I think part of it is the coaching staff doesn't know how to use people, and
Mm-mm.
I don't know. They hear the rumors about NIL, and people didn't want to fund Smith because he wasn't their guy, and blah 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 blah. And excuse. I'll come back to this. The only thing I can definitively say is that there's enough talent on this team to win 6, 7 games, and a good
Oh, for
coaching staff
sure.
pulls
For
that
sure.
out of the team, and
Oh,
that's the
yeah.
biggest indictment of Jonathan Smith's coaching staff right now. Is there's enough talent to win these games, and you can't get the kids, you're not, excuse me, young man in line to do it. You don't put them in a good enough positions, and obviously
You got to
because
go.
I don't know, and the football gods like, nope, Michigan State, you shall not pass. They're just not on, and there's nothing's going in our favor, nothing's on our side.
Right.
We can't
You know
even
what?
make our own luck.
Maybe Smith can go back to Oregon State because I did read that Oregon State fired their coach too, so they can just
They
go
fired
back
him a few
home.
weeks ago.
Oh, they
Whatever,
did. I
I
didn't
don't
know
know.
that. I just read about
As
it.
a few weeks ago, yes, he got fired.
So yeah, going back to Corvallis and be happy.
You know, and we always talk about his sideline demeanor. It always gets brought up. No one would care if he were winning.
No,
No one would care if he was taking a nap on the sideline if he was getting them W's. It'd be a funny story. Oh yeah, Coach Smith likes to nap between the first and second quarters of the games. Like no one would care if he was winning.
you're right.
but
But
we
hey,
ain't winning. We looking
right.
bad, and there's no answers, and there's no good answers going forward. State's either gonna
Nope.
have to cut
Only.
a big check, but not even, maybe not a big check, but they're gonna have to cut a check to Jonathan Smith for a few years. Then you're gonna have to use that money to pay a new coach, to pay a new staff. Like it's a lot of money. Unless someone's gonna start, some billionaires are like, I'm gonna start bankrolling the football team. But if I'm a billionaire, why would I? What is y'all vision? If I had the money, what is y'all vision? If this is just my, if Michigan State is something I do, is my alma mater, is my, I want to see the win from just my own pure vanity and pleasure. What is Michigan State presented to me that he's even gonna, that they have, they can even do that?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what Jay Back gonna have to figure out, because ultimately he's been put in charge of overseeing this, uh, you know, sports, basically getting football back on track. And he just been here for what 5 6 months,
Mm-hmm.
and now you gonna have to make a big time decision that's gonna affect your whole tenure.
Hey, that's where he stepped in this job.
So I paid the big bucks. You got to figure it out.
Yep.
And
Yep.
I'm not envious of his position, because just looking at all the options, it's gonna be like, what's gonna be the least damaging option for Michigan State?
And I'm sure behind the scenes that those conversations have taken place and are
Oh,
continuing to take
100%,
place.
100%. I
So
would think
wouldn't surprise
if this
me
would have
if
been
they're
a
already getting
blowout
the
loss.
money together to play with. Yeah.
Oh no, I think that's the next step. I think this is me. I have no inside information. I'm a nobody. This is how I, process it. You hear things about certain donors not being on board with having to pay for the buyout and having to do this. They kind of want to do a wait and see. Like, hey, he still has a chance to turn this around and get 6-6 and make a bowl game, and maybe that make people happy. I will contend. I think the fan base is too far out for that to even to matter. I think that they're gonna have to move on from Jonathan Smith, and I'm pretty sure we're not gonna win the Big Ten game. And we might beat
No.
Maryland. I Penn State's defense is good enough so that we could lose that game off defensive alone. And their offense is coming around. They have a really good running back with Katron Allen. Yep. Iowa's Iowa. They're going to be steady Eddies. They're going to have a great defense. They're going to run the ball. They're not going to make mistakes. So that's probably an L. So the most likely win is Maryland. Whoop de fucking do. We go 4-8.
Right. They're probably going to fire their coach too at the end of the season.
Well, actually, it wouldn't surprise
Yep.
me.
Yep. Yep. So that's a good segue to this little game I'm gonna play with you, Broski. This little game I
Uh
thought
oh.
of here to keep the party moving here. Cue the woodshed. It's called the coaching carousel game. So imagine you're on a merry-go-round, like at Cedar Point or Disney World or Disneyland, and you have all these different coaches that have been fired this season so far. There's been like a long list of coaches. If you just Google it, like, damn, a lot of there's been a lot of L's, in the world of college football coaching. So what I did was I put together this list of some of these coaches. So the game is, broski, I'm gonna give you the names of just a few coaches here, and I want you to explain why they would not be a good fit for MSU. Some
Oh
names you
my
already
goodness.
heard of, some you haven't. But again, I'm just going to throw out these names and just want you to explain why they would not be a good fit for MSU.
Well, this is
We'll start with the hometown boy, Max Bulla. He's been getting some love out there, currently on the staff of Notre Dame as a defensive coach. Why would he not be a good fit for MSU? He played under D'Antonio. His family's so prominent at Michigan State. Why would he not be a good fit based off your estimation?
Well, I don't think he'd be a good fit as a head coach because he has zero head coaching experience. I no
Mm-hmm.
doubt I think he'd be a good fit back at MSU in some capacity. But my only thing is that okay, you still have to have that experience as a head coach to know the ins and out of that piece of it. Now, do I think he would be an energizing factor for Michigan State? I do believe that. I'll go as far to say maybe even defensive coordinator, even though he's never been a defensive coordinator.
Okay.
That I, we're so down bad, I would accept it. But a head coach, I think that's a little premature. Get a little bit
Yeah.
more time under his belt, a little more coaching experience, and I think he'd be eventually a really good fit for head coach once he got that experience and we can see what he is as a head coach.
So someone on 97.1 the ticket, I think it's the Carson Anderson show. I don't know if they
The
still I'm
midday
assuming they
show.
still do their thing. So I think it was
Yes.
Anderson who said that he floated this weird idea talking about you get Nick Saban to coach for like 2 years so he can just groom Max Bulla for him to be the next head coach. Like, why the hell would Michigan State do that? Why would Nick Saban even
Saban's not
agree to
coming
that?
back.
Like, what is this
Saban,
fantasy about Nick Saban coming back? People do have this fantasy about, well, Nick Saban should finish what he started. That was fucking 30 years ago. Why would he do that? In this landscape of college football, that's why he left. He didn't want to deal with NIL. So why would he come back to Michigan State? So
I heard it. I was like, oh, what about this idea? No, I thought it was pure ridiculousness.
yeah,
Everybody's entitled to their opinion.
bullshit. So
And my opinion is that, like, no, you get Nick Saban to come back for 2 years, teach Max the ropes. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Saban's not
right.
coming back to coaching. And why would he come back to Michigan State?
Why would
Michigan
he
State
do
been
that?
what, three head coaching jobs ago? Like,
Oh
I'm
man.
good. I'm good on that. Like, no, thank
Right.
you.
Me too. So moving along, here's the next name on the list here. Brian Kelly. I've read a couple of talking heads or writing heads saying, "Oh yeah, MSU should just hire Brian Kelly." So why is Brian Kelly not a good fit for MSU, in your opinion?
Well, I would like anybody who says Brian Clay's a good fit for Michigan State to go look at his history in the last few places that he's left. No one was sad that Brian Clay left anywhere from their programs. By all means, no one he's not very liked. He's not, he's a red ass. And he's kind of fake. You know, he's been Midwest coach for most of my knowing of Brian Kelly. He was at Cincinnati, he was at Grand Valley, he was at I think Central Michigan.
Yeah, he
You
started out at
know,
CMU, to my knowledge. I think he started out at
yeah.
CMU.
Right. And he goes obviously Notre Dame. And then he goes to LSU and then the next 2 days he has a southern accent, his southern twang to his talking. Like, man, no. I can't I'm not gonna deal with that fake stuff. And he can be a good head coach, but I just I don't think he'd be a fit for Michigan State. People like the yelling and screaming, but he's not Tom Izzo.
Right.
Because people
I
love
agree with you on
Tom
that.
Izzo. They come back and they say, you have how many players have you heard talk about how much they love Brian Kelly?
Zero.
You hear him talk about how much they love Nick Saban, and people shit on James Franklin. His players love playing for him. They still talk about how you listen to interviews with Penn State players now. Nothing but admiration for him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Brian Kelly would just be a good fit. Football wise, can he win? Maybe. I don't know. He's
Hmm.
It's just he's a no for me. It's a no for me.
I
I don't
agree.
think
I agree.
he's not a good fit at all.
I agree. So another name here, he's not been mentioned about the MSU job, but I just threw it on here. Billy Napier from the
No,
Gators who got the axe.
no,
Why would he not be a good fit?
I don't think this is my thing. You're gonna have to need somebody who has Midwestern ties, who at least understands a
Mm-hmm.
little bit about Michigan State. I don't think Billy Napier has any connection to the Midwest or even Michigan State. It doesn't have to be to me for a head coach of Michigan State. It doesn't have to be a connection to Michigan State, but you have to know the landscape around here just a little bit, just
Mm-hmm.
to be aware of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand Florida is a sort of a tough job. I mean, you're in a fertile recruiting
I
state.
wouldn't say sort of.
You're a good university, like rankings wise. One thing I just because we got spoiled by D'Antonio, finding the right head coach is difficult for a lot of universities.
Oh yeah,
And
very much
and
so.
once you have your guy, you got to make sure he stays for a long time. And State
Oh
hasn't
yeah.
found their person. And
That's why Indiana
remember,
locked down Kirk Cinetti so tough.
oh, for sure, they're like, no, we like this. We got money. We pay. But again, you know, Indiana, they put the groundwork in place years ago to be where they're at. They got their NIL in order. They got their donors in order
Mm-hmm.
before Signetti was there. People forget Tom was it Tom Allen? He wasn't
Yeah, Tom Allen.
terrible. He wasn't terrible at Indiana, but they said he's not good enough, and they paid his buyout and got him up out of there and got Kirk Signetti.
Mm-hmm.
So they had their ducks in a row because one thing that helped out Indiana was that, and I'm off topic now, but when Tom Allen gets fired, they didn't have a mass exodus of players. So everybody that was already there in the program, most of them stayed. Yes, of course, some guys will leave, but majority of their team stayed. Then you had
Mm-hmm.
Tavetti. He brought over his guys who knew his system. He brought over 14 people. So that definitely helped. And then it's not shade. They had an easier schedule last season, and they got
Yeah.
them into the playoffs. And then this season, they cultivated it. They paid. They had the money to pay a quarterback that was going to be a difference maker, and now they're squarely a playoff team that's going to that I can see making some noise, beating some team that like, oh my
Mm-hmm.
god, yeah, Indiana's good.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. All right, here's another name here. You probably be like, why the hell I have this guy's name on the list? Deshaun Foster. UCLA fame. Why would he not be a good fit for
You
Michigan
should turn this
State?
podcast off. What are you even talking about? He should have been hired at UCLA. It was questionable at the time, and you see they ushered him up out of there. That speaks for itself, Kenneth. I don't even know why you asked me that one.
Man, his introductory speech, his first year was legendary. Just crickets.
Yeah, there it is.
All right, I got a couple more for you, Brian. A couple more. This name was mentioned, I think, when this season started. He's been laying the cut all year after he had that historic buyout at Texas A&M, Mr. Jimbo Fisher. Some talking heads at the beginning of the season was like, well, maybe we should look at Jimbo Fisher should Jonathan Smith get the axe. So why would he not be a good fit for MSU?
He couldn't
Or
win
would he?
at Texas A&M with all the money in the world. Texas A&M was the original NIL money gun school. They got all the recruits buying them left and right and just was losing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Jimbo Fisher represents the past. If you think about it now, all them head coaches that's winning back in the early 2000s, most of them gone, and we're into a new phase in college football. None of these people who were like doing really well before NIL are doing well now. Hell, even Georgia ain't been Georgia since NIL started taking hold. So,
Hmm.
uh, Jim ain't won in a long time. You know,
Since
he was
Jameis Winston.
that's 2013, and he's been kind of not great at coaching since then. So
Mm-hmm.
we're talking about over a decade of not winning. And I think his price tag is way too high for what he was not going to provide at Michigan State.
All right. How about a former player in the pros? He was the quarterback for the Baltimore Ravens when they were in their first championship, Mr. Trent Dilfer at UAB.
No, I know nothing about him, but that's a no for me.
That's a no for me, dog.
Big
I
time
would
no. Like
say I would say James Franklin, but tea leaves are saying that Virginia Tech is going to be probably eventually swooping him up. So I left him off the list here.
I
But
think James is gonna wait. He just seems like a smart guy, and the best thing to do for
mm-hmm.
him to be to wait until the end of the season to uh to have his
Evaluate
pick of
all
the
his
land.
options.
Oh, for sure. You know, if he won it back at the Big Ten, State's a good option, but we don't have our shit together. So why would he
Mm-hmm.
want to come here? ACC
True that.
kind of looks ripe for the taking because you know what's the dominant ACC program?
This year I say Georgia Tech.
Yeah,
They've been the
exactly.
most consistent team in that conference. And I guess you gotta say
Georgia
Notre
Tech.
Dame, they've been winning. You know,
They're not
they've gone back to
technically in
their
the
winning
ACC.
ways. So
They
I
don't. They're not
guess
in the
it's those
ACC.
two. I mean, yeah, you're right. They're not in the ACC, but you know, they at least the football program, they pretend like they are because most of their
They dip
games
their
are
toe in.
ACC games.
But ACC
So,
out of the Power Four conferences, you know, because to be clear, it's the Big Ten, SEC. Those are the two best conferences, bar none. And
mm-hmm.
then ACC and Big
Everybody
12.
else,
And they're
everybody
like,
else,
in the Big 12, to me, you know, they kind of disintegrated when Oklahoma and Texas left, and they brought in a bunch of, you know, American Conference leagues into their ranks. So you don't really
and
know
some of the
how
old
good the Big 12.
Pac-12,
Yeah, so in the Pac-12,
Arizona
and
State, Arizona.
yeah, and also ACC did the same thing. 'Cause if I'm not mistaken, isn't Stanford in the ACC?
I think so.
So
Yeah, I think so.
the ACC is kind of it's an easier conference than the Big Ten
Mm-hmm.
because all right, yeah, like I say, Georgia Tech is the power in the ACC right now. It's not Clemson, it ain't Miami. You know, Miami just
Did they
giving
lose
games away.
again?
Yes, they did.
Did they lose again? Oh wow!
Yes, they did. They
They
paid
lost
all
to
that money, and
SMU.
yes, this past
Wow!
weekend, yes, they
Didn't
did.
he? Wow!
And then
Ouch!
Clemson, you know, Dabo Swinney's down there talking about, I've done so much for this university. I did this. Yeah, that sounds like a coach that know he about to be axed.
Yep.
So
And
James
I
Franklin's
know you
Virginia
said he
Tech.
would not be a good fit, right? Dabo would
No,
not be a good fit for MSU.
no.
So who do you
MSU is
think
a
would?
tough job.
Yeah.
Good fit is, you know, this is why I say it's hard for Michigan State right now. We're in hell because, you know, James Franklin would be a good fit. Just he knows the land. He can recruit. He's recruited the area. I think if you brought him in, you could retain a good number of your team, at least have some type of building block stability.
Mm-hmm.
And other than that, I don't know. There's some names I've heard that I'm, you know, I wouldn't mind taking a look at. I think it's is it Alex Gulish? He's the or Goldish. He's the head coach. What is it? University of South Florida. He's getting a lot of looks. He's kind of turned that program around. Midwestern ties, played at Ohio State. Kind of built a program up that wasn't the greatest. Give him a shot.
Mm-hmm.
The other name that can stand around on message boards a lot. Um, it'd be totally like a Indiana retread kind of. The the guy who took over for Signetti, I think it's Kyle Chesney, something like that. He's kind of kept James Madison rolling and looking really good. G5, you know, guy maybe can build a program, but like I said, we're in a weird time in coaching anyway because all the big names are gone, and so it's all new people. You got to find your new
Mm-hmm.
person, and that's why State is in a tough spot. Because yeah, it'd be nice to get James Franklin. I don't think we can be attractive enough to get a James Franklin. I don't think we're attractive enough to get a established head coach. And Michigan State's not a terrible job, but it's tough because you're not going to be loved in this state. You're going to have to answer stupid questions that you wouldn't have to answer at most, other universities.
Mm-hmm.
So, someone's going to have to understand that. But you can get the support here and you can win. If you if Michigan State can get its shit together administration wise, get everybody, going in the same direction. You have money, you have support, you have a fervent fan base, it can work. Mark D'Antonio showed it.
Yeah.
But can we do those things? We've been a mess administration wise since Larry Nassar incident, since 2016. That's when the athletic department just completely said Mark Hollis left, president gone, interim AD hiring some people. It's like we got
Yeah.
some problems.
Well, some of that back in that whole Nasser shit, a lot of those people they got voluntold to be gone.
For sure.
So, well,
But it
yeah, we're
is
not
what
going
it
to
is.
rehash that. That was all terrible. But yeah, it's tough, man. It's tough. I guess if I was in issue, I'd look at someone on Ohio State staff, maybe the OC.
Brian Hartline.
Um, I don't know about Matt Patricia. I don't think he would,
No, no, thank
but
you. And
maybe
that's just
maybe the
really far from
OC.
Lions. But even Hartline, I don't think he's a bad coach. I just don't know. Because Michigan State's gonna need somebody who's gonna be a recruiter. Someone's gonna be fervent and audacious and just all the power terms that come out in terms of recruiting.
hmm
It's easy to recruit to Ohio State. Like you're the big dog on the block. You're the prettiest girl on the block all the time. Now I can say this: when he becomes the wide receivers coach and eventually OC, that's when they became wide receiver U. But I don't. You're not going to see that at Michigan State. We're not going to get 3 or 4, 5-star receivers to come because Brian Hartline's the head coach. Like no. So that's my only pause of Brian Hartline. That's my biggest question mark. Is it's easy to recruit at Ohio State, just like when Mel Tucker was hired. He's from Alabama, in Georgia. Like, all right, it's easy to recruit in these places. And what are we talking about? It's there. You just got to go
yeah.
talk to a few people, and they have a built-in, fertile recruiting bread. Michigan is not. Michigan State's not that. Michigan doesn't have a lot of a plethora of high end. They have talent here. Don't get me wrong. It's just not. It's not the highest of highest end talent. And then Ohio State can go anywhere across the country. Like, I ain't gonna. How many 5-star kids from Georgia gonna come up to Michigan State and be like, yeah, this is that. Unless we paying that bread. And obviously, we ain't been paying that bread. We ain't been winning, ain't paying that bread. So we shall see.
Yep, we shall. We shall. So that was the coaching carousel game. Some of us thought of, something new and different to talk about because can't keep talking about Fire Smith, Fire Smith, Fire Smith. So we need to switch up a little bit.
And we have a bye week coming up, so we can. I think a good thing would be to do a recap of how did we get here.
Oh, most definitely.
I
We're
think we
definitely gonna
should
do that one.
like we. I know we kind of did a quick little like, hey, here to here, Larry Nash, blah blah. I think a good thing would be to let's do a Michigan State deep dive from the beginning, the heights of the heights to the lows of the lows, because
Lowest
we
of the
are.
lows.
I think low key we might be in the one of the lowest periods in Michigan State football history, winning wise.
Oh, I
But
think this is the lowest. I mean, dare I say this is worse than John L. Smith. At
few more
least
losses,
John
he'll be
L.
right there.
won. At least John L. won some pretty impactful games during this tenure. He was able to beat
Occasionally, yeah,
Notre Dame
yes. We have not seen a
and
big victory from the biggest victory is beating Iowa. And I'm not saying Iowa's
right a
nothing, but
mediocre
like,
Iowa team at that.
yeah, like a 7-5
Mediocre.
Iowa team. Like, yeah, so no.
Well, the good news is college basketball started, and the Izzone started off with the victory today. So, congrats to the basketball team.
We'll see how that season goes.
Oh boy. Oh
Game
boy.
one.
Well, well, as they say, my friends, my Spartan friends, my green and white buddies, it's that time. We've topped it up here enough. Hopefully, you guys have been entertained here. Q the Woodshed, Ken the Super Cool Spartan, my brother Brian the Super Mad Spartan. Check us out on all our social media and also hit that subscribe button on YouTube, Spotify, and Amazon Music. We love to hear from you guys. We appreciate all the listeners we have here, all the subscribers. And with that, we are out. Go green.
Oh, white.